Hello, friends. Are we here? Can y'all hear me? Are we doing good? The technical difficulties were at the start again, and I swear I had fucking PTSD from yesterday. But it's fine. It seems like we figured it out. As soon as I get the thumbs up from someone in chat, we will get going here. Yeah, sounds great. Awesome. I'm also, just trying to, breathe and take it easy, and I'm talking softer than I normally do. I feel like on TikTok I get super hyped and shit. And over here, we're chilling, we're playing a little game. I was gonna say, yeah, hi Bagel, welcome. Everyone get cozy, get a snack, get a drink, all that good shit. I've got my water ready here because all this reading does make me thirsty. But yeah, we are going to continue with our dude Cove. I'm fucking hyped as hell. Let's get into it. Look at the little sweet soft boy and his little cast. I love him. Okay. Aw, sleepover. Sleepover's gonna be fun. Okay. Let's hop in after a quick sip of water. Don't spill on me, please. Beautiful. Okay. We're good to go, we're good to go. Alright kids, we're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if it had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood in the process of putting down cutlery. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots in the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, uncrossing her legs and standing up. She stretched her arms above her head. Finally, I'm ready to eat. Then she cast a sly glance in your direction. You recognized that look. Last one to the table is a rotten egg. I haven't... But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted towards the kitchen. I'm gonna stay sitting. I feel like I wasn't big on races as a kid. I didn't really care to be the first one. Plus, Lizzie is, competitive as hell, to the point she's constantly trying to turn everything into an I win, you lose situation. And I don't really vibe with that energy, so I feel like if I grew up with that shit every day, yeah, I'd stay sitting. If you didn't get up and race after her, then technically Lizzie would be winning against nobody. She could have that kind of victory. You crossed your arms over your chest, remaining seated, and watched. It was a short distance to the kitchen table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping a hand over the wood. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump into her. With an exasperated sigh, she resumed her work. I win again. You didn't win because you were racing by yourself. That was my childhood with my sisters. Maybe it's just because I'm an only child, but I don't get the turning everything into a competition. Yeah, you didn't win anything, Lizzie, sorry. No, I told you we were both racing. You're just so slow. I wasn't racing and you know it. That sounds like something a rotten egg would say. Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder. Cove, you can be the tiebreaker. Was that a real race that I totally won? You blinked. You hadn't noticed what he had been doing during this little event, which wasn't much. You spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, the arm with the cast resting in his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him still here so late. Tonight, Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your mom's and his dad had planned it a few days ago. You weren't surprised you were the one who asked your moms about it? 1,000%. I'd be that kid of, hey, can he sleep over? Can we do that? They had told you they would ask Mr. Holden. You looked forward to it since the moment you found out he agreed. And you even helped Mom search the storage room for a sleeping bag and extra bedding to prepare for his visit. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but he didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her, not that Lizzie would make it easy. This wasn't the first time she had asked him to be the referee for one of her sudden races. Well, did I win or what? No. What? I don't think you won. How come? It's not my fault Blake's slow. Cheating's cheating and cheaters never win. You always pick their side. Cove snuck a shy peek at you before answering her. I pick them and they pick me. Stop, it's so cute. I love them. Look at his little smile. You're a couple of rotten eggs then. That's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each farm fresh. That's such a mom thing. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Now listen to Mom and come sit at the table for dinner, all three of you. You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the edge of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you when Mom turned her back. Your parents brought the last of the food, then they took seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you and Lizzie. Only Cove was left out. He had stood up from his spot on the floor, but he hadn't made a move towards the kitchen. Cove, you can sit too. Not the silence. Slowly, he eyed the 4 seats that were left. Thanks to the new seating arrangement your parents chose, 1 free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last 2 were on the other side of where your moms were sitting. Okay, I see exactly what they're talking about. I mean, I would want him to sit next to me, but I think I'd say you can sit anywhere you want to. Like, I wouldn't want him to be pressured. I'd be like, sit wherever you want. And then, like, I would silently hope that he wants to sit by me. Yeah. You can sit anywhere you want to. Cove's gaze met your brown eyes. Briefly, he grinned back. He walked over, pulled out the chair next to yours, and sat down. You were glad he wanted to sit with you. He just needed to know it was okay. Now that everyone was situated, Mommy began to pass out plates. Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for dinner tonight. Hold on, does she have like a little nose piercing? That's so cute. I love that detail. Be sure not to avoid all of the veggies. Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands clamped on the top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. That's fair as hell. One dish seemed to have his eye at least. That's pineapple chicken. Want to try some? Not really. Sorry. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Do you not like any of the food, honey? Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Wow. Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating, then she spoke again. He should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. Unless you want to shrink, that's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that. Not Lizzie and the misinformation. Please don't talk at all, Lizzie, for real. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. Y'all are making him nervous. Stop, dude's getting ready to cry. He doesn't want all the eyes on him. I've had some things, just not any of this. Oh shoot, I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's alright, Lonnie. Maybe he'll find a new favorite today. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying the food anytime soon. Hell yeah, give me your plate. Give me your plate, I got you. Blake's gonna set you up all nice with food. Trust me. Cove was a little confused by your request, but he handed it to you anyway. You took the plate from him and piled only the best foods on it. He watched you work intently. His good hand shoved underneath his leg. When you were satisfied with the amount on his plate, you returned it. You should like some of these. Okay, thanks. Not me filling his plate for him. Stop. I love it so much. That was very kind of you, Blake. You sat up straighter at the praise. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly, he was apprehensive to eat something new, but he took a few exploratory bites. It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied even though it wasn't exactly a glowing accommodation. Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Lizzie, can you leave Cove the hell alone, please? Why do you turn everything into a personal goddamn attack? Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends. Oh, shit. Cove is having none of it. Cove said with his full chest, we're not friends. Damn, Cove. Ruthless. Oh. Mommy floundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. W. Cove, honestly. What a fucking power move. You weren't surprised by Cove's declaration. The more you got to know him, the more you realized he wasn't the type of kid to keep his opinions to himself. She wasn't easy to get along with all the time, though Cove didn't make much of an effort either. You hoped Cove thought of you as a friend. Yeah, I think we're friends, but like, I don't know, dude hasn't flat out said it. So like, hopefully we're friends? When you gave Cove a look, he returned a small smile, and that made you feel good, even though you were still unsure. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug. Elizabeth, don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as a weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. W, Mom, for real. It's not a nice thing to say to someone, anyone, but Pam. Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sounds of clanking silverware meant you caught the quiet words anyway. They're not friends. He said so. As parents, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves. Now less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. But, Mom... No buts. We've talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. I feel like I'd just be focused on my food. Yeah, you stayed quiet and finished your meal. I wasn't that much of a fighter about bedtime most of the time. I was just like, okay, it is what it is. It was good food, and you were pretty content to just keep eating. That's the idea. Good job, Blake. Everyone else get to it. The rest of dinner passed uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when you nudged him and tried to get him to talk. All too soon, the table was cleared, the games in the living room were put away, and you were all steered to your bedrooms. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow just as Mommy poked her head in the room. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably in your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpits. You could kick it off later if it got too hot. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor for Cove just beside your bed. He had already wiggled inside. You nodded for the both of you in response to Mommy's question. Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled when you squawked in annoyance, and left. Mommy took her place sitting on the edge of your bed. Sweet dreams, sweetie. She pressed a soft kiss to your forehead. You giggled as strands of her hair fell forward and tickled you. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his spot on the floor. Do you need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Sometimes he picks me up and lifts me really high, and he shakes his hands like he's gonna let go, but he catches me again. He keeps doing that until sometimes he does drop me on my bed, or other times he lowers me down and we pretend like I'm crashing. Cove had become pretty excited when talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was and bashfully quieted. Not the nighttime ritual. But I don't want to do that here. Aw, how fun. Though I think you're right that it might not be a good idea to do that tonight. The sleeping bag might not be a soft enough landing. If there's anything else, you can always ask me or Blake's other mom. But I'm the nicer one, just don't tell her that. She laughed good-naturedly and stood up. Sleep well, Cove. Night. Leaning against the door jamb, she rested a hand on the light switch and looked to you. Good night, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. With a last smile, Mommy turned off the lights and stepped out, closing the bedroom door behind her. You listened to her footsteps fade as she walked down the hallway. But even as the sound vanished, your eyes stayed open. It was so exciting to have Cove spending the night. You were happy that Cove was spending the night, but you couldn't shake the conversation from earlier at the dinner table. Cove had said that he and Lizzie weren't friends, but that wasn't the part that was bothering you. You couldn't stop from wondering what he really thought about you. Fuck it. You decided to ask him. Why not? It's good to clarify that, like, hey, we're on the same page about this, yes? Yeah, ask him. Cove? Yeah? Are we friends? Cove didn't speak for a few moments, and you wondered if you startled him with the question. The longer the silence stretched, the more uneasy you felt about his impending answer. Do you think we're friends? You wrinkled your nose at the question being redirected back at you. Damn, Cove, not the non-answer. The way Cove had asked it made you think that maybe he hadn't even questioned it before, and now more than ever you wondered if you should have kept quiet instead. I mean, they've been spending like the entire summer together, and my understanding it's like pretty much every day. So I feel like back when I was like 8, if I had someone, like, in my life like that, I feel like it'd be, like, we're best friends. Like, not even just we're friends, but if we're spending, like, a whole summer together, we're besties at that point. Sorry. Like, you stuck dealing with my dumb ass now. Yeah, we're best friends. You heard Cove shuffle around in his sleeping bag, and you looked up at the slivers of light cast upon your ceiling as you waited for him to say something. Well, there isn't somebody else it could be. So I guess we are best friends. You chuckled. That answer is just like him. Only 'cause there isn't anyone else? No. You giggled once more. And then you let your eyes drift closed, pleased that it was settled. Not that we're best friends. Oh, well, there isn't anyone else it could be, so sure we're best friends. Only 'cause there isn't anyone else? No. That shit's so fucking cute. Stop it. Can I also just take a moment to say, I adore my character's little room. Like, you can see all the books and stuff and, like, the little pictures on the wall and, like, clearly all the little artwork and these little, like, stuffed animals are so cute. Not me being jealous of my character's fucking house and room. Like, look at this window. You can see outside. It's all, like, cute and shit. I like that little lamp. Look at these guys up here. Like, that guy kind of creeps me out with his eyeballs, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, for real, they're so cute. Anyways, back fucking to it. I also wonder what this box is, because earlier with the box of beach things, I took that to mean like a shoebox, and that's not a shoebox. So I'm like, what's in there? I want to know. I'm nosy. Give me the details. Fucking back to it. My bad. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of a lump under the covers. Cove? What's wrong? Why you look sad again? What happened this time? What's wrong? I can't sleep. Why not? He shifted, or at least you thought he did. You couldn't see anything since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. I want to be in my bed. Oh. Cove sat up. Your eyes had gotten used to the low light level, so you could see him better. He got out of the sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side table, and pulled open the top drawer. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You sat up too, watching as he reached inside. He paused for a second, then pulled his hand out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. Cove turned it around in his hands, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew even without reading the title which one it was. That was one your moms would read to you. It was special. I thought you were looking for your glasses, dude. What happened? That's not glasses, that's a book. That you could probably properly appreciate if you had your glasses, you know, the original thing you were digging for, just saying. Then I felt this. It looks cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you grinning, your confusion forgotten. It is really cool. Oh yeah? What's it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight, and there's magic. Does it have mermaids? No, but... Ooh, I get to pick. Let's see. Has cool pictures. I love the main character because the squire is really brave and funny. I feel like I'd go with the dragon one if I'm being so honest. I think it's gotta be, there's a dragon in it and crazy things happen. Y'all, I'll be back in just 1 second. I'm so sorry. Okay, we back, buddies. Sorry, just had to take care of something real quick. But yeah, we're gonna go with there's a dragon in it and crazy things happen. The squire tries to kill her because the king wants the dragon dead, so they have this fight. But the squire finds out the dragon's really nice. They decide they don't want to fight her after all, so the two of them become friends instead. Cove looked excited by your words. He flipped the book over and focused on the backside summary. He must be pretty interested in it. You were reminded of the hours you'd spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and the pictures inside. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. We could go to sleep. Or I could read the book with Cove. What do y'all think? We want to read the book with Cove? That's what I'm fucking leaning towards. Like, should go to bed, technically, kinda sorta, but who's really gonna know, though? Read? Okay, we're reading the book. You wanted to read the book with Cove. You climbed out of bed and padded over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You'll see. You let out a quiet cry of victory when you found what you were looking for. You jumped back onto the bed before any hidden boogeyman could catch you unaware. Cove continued to watch as you wiggled your way beneath the blanket you discarded earlier. You pulled it up over your head. What? Come on, check it out. Bring the book too. After a minute, the bed dipped as Cove got on it. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling for the switch. With a click, the small space flooded with a bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else. Sorry, I'm with Cove. Jesus, too bright. You tilted the flashlight so it was shining down towards the floor of your blanket cave and away from Cove's sensitive eyes. I don't think Cove has sensitive eyes. I just think if you shine a flashlight in anybody's light, and if you shine a flashlight in anybody's eyes, it's like, ow, that shit's bright. Is that better? Yeah. Now we can read and my moms won't know. I gotta be honest, I feel like that's some shit I would do all the fucking time. I do this all the time. When mom or mommy check on me, I have to hide everything under the blanket, but I haven't been caught before. Do you want to try? Cove nodded. Pleased by his straightforward response, you placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he laid down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine it on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed until you shuffled back a comfortable distance. I wanted the story to be narrated. Thought it best to take turns reading the book silently. Flipped through the pages to show cool pictures. Nah, I don't want this. You wanted the story to be narrated. Read that shit out loud. You loved it when mommy read to you. Why not read as loud as you dared this time of night? You didn't even need to study the page for long. There was once a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted was to do good. Cove was taken aback when you began to recite the words by heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly, a word which had given you grief in the past. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon you got to an exciting part, the squire and the dragon's first meeting. The squire walked up to the fearsome dragon. their borrowed sword in one hand and a torch in the other. Her red scales danced in the light like flickering flames. Could you say the dragon's lines? Do you need to get your glasses? No, my head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while. I can kind of see things all right, but I don't know any voices. That's okay. It's fun anyway. Let me just... Cove read the page, his mouth moving silently with the words. Eventually, he nodded to himself and spoke them out loud. Who goes there? Roared the dragon. Who dares enter my cave? It was your turn. You went into the squire's famous speech. The next time you looked up from the page, your gaze landed right on Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. You started when Cove caught you watching him. He raised a questioning eyebrow. What? Nothing. Cove shot you a strange look, but he went back to the book. You did too, even as your eyelids started to droop. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed in your pillow, your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. Slowly, you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. You rolled onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, when you saw a dark shape towering above you. You froze. Then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove, that you? Yeah. You shuffled and felt something cylindrical pressed against your thigh. You fumbled for it, the familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it on. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were left on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Can't sleep. I keep waking up. Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep. It's weird here. You frowned. You'd helped your moms redecorate it only a few months back. I like my room. It's not that it's bad. I just always sleep in my bed, in my room. That made things a little clearer. It wasn't anything that you'd done. Cove couldn't sleep in a new place. You wondered how long it took for Cove's bedroom in his new house to not be weird to him. Probably a while. I'm gonna go. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He was going to walk outside back to his house, this time of night, all by himself. He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. My dad will let me in, and I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. You don't have to. It wouldn't even be a sleepover if Cove left in the middle of the night. It was called a sleepover for a reason. Cove looked frustrated, though you got the feeling it wasn't at you specifically. Yes, I do. You were at a stalemate. Frowning to yourself, you studied his sleeping bag. Was there a way you could make him more comfortable? If Cove didn't like how weird your room was, maybe he would feel better if he had something more familiar nearby. Oh! You went to your bed and grabbed your blanket, then you spread it over the floor beside Cove's sleeping bag. He watched as you did, blinking. You're sleeping on the floor? Yeah, next to you. Stop, it's so cute. I can't handle it. Hopefully that'll help you sleep easier. Is that okay? Uh-huh. You spied a small smile playing on his lips. We can try it. But if it doesn't work, I want to go home still. I get it. You grabbed your pillow and a few plush toys for good measure as Cove picked up his pajama bottoms and folded them, then set them aside. You tossed the items in your hand onto the blanket, completing your task. The two of you stood and looked down at your handiwork. Are you gonna change into your pajamas? No, I can sleep in this. There wasn't anything else left to say. In unison, you both laid down side by side. Cove put his glasses aside and got into his sleeping bag. You made yourself as comfortable as you could, wrapped in the fuzzy blanket. The floor was hard and unforgiving against your back, not at all as comfy as your bed, but you didn't mind it much. You had fallen asleep on the floor before. What mattered was if it helped. You swiveled your head to observe him. Is it better? He poked the top of his head out of the sleeping bag and mumbled bashfully. I don't know. I have to sleep first. I can't tell if I can now. You couldn't help but be disappointed by the answer. Promise to wake me up if you want to go? Cove looked confused by the request, but he nodded anyway. Sure. You smiled. At least he wouldn't disappear without you knowing. You settled in for bed on the ground, closing your eyes and waiting for sleep to come. You wanted to give Cove a chance to get comfortable. Surprisingly, he decided to keep talking. This was my first sleepover. I guess. You opened your eyes to see him staring up at the ceiling, his seafoam hair spread out around his head like he'd just gotten shocked. Really? I've had sleepovers before. Sometimes I'll go to friends' houses. Shiloh slept over a few times too, and other stuff. Cove remained quiet. The silence stretched between you, but it didn't feel awkward right now. You didn't feel the need to break it immediately. How was it? Or is it? It's not bad. I liked reading your book. You did? I kind of thought you weren't having fun. You didn't really say anything when we were eating. I didn't know what to say. Oh. Now you were the one who didn't know what to say. You just laid there, and so did Cove, for what felt like a long time. Not the silence. Hey, Cove? There was no answer. You leaned on your elbow to see Cove's eyes closed, his lashes fanned over the apples of his cheeks, his chest raised and lowered with every inhale and exhale. He was fast asleep. You smiled to yourself. Good night. You rested on your back and closed your eyes. Soon enough, you were lulled to sleep by the gentle sound of Cove's breathing. The next morning, you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice and a soft shake on your shoulder. Blake, wake up. It's time to get up and at 'em. The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. One beef I will say is I don't really see curtains over here. So, the sun peeking through your curtains, what curtains? That's just me being nitpicky, though. Is everything okay down there? You blinked at Mom for a moment, confused, before remembering you had slept down on the floor next to Cove. He was just waking up, yawning loudly. His hand lightly hit your face as he stretched out. When you moved away, you groaned a little at the pain in your shoulder from having slept on the hard ground. It definitely wasn't as comfortable as your cozy bed, that's for sure. Cove wasn't feeling good, so I stayed with him. You mumbled and glanced at Cove, who rubbed his eyes sleepily. He didn't say anything. Still, you were glad he had decided to stay the night in the end. When you looked at Mom next, she was smiling at you both. Mommy was standing in the doorway behind her, doing the same thing. All right, kids, we'll be downstairs making breakfast. Don't take too long coming down. She said something to Mommy on her way out that made the two of them giggle. Did you sleep okay? You stood up and stretched your legs, watching Cove fumble with the bedside drawer and pull out his glasses. I think so. He had been able to relax when it was just the two of you in the night. Now that a new day had come, he gave the impression of feeling out of place again. But the smile on his face had a gentle light. Thanks, Blake. You're welcome. Even if it couldn't be a perfect time, it was worth it. Cove didn't stay for breakfast. He really was ready to go at that point. Mommy called to make sure Mr. Holden was up before Cove went home. He gave you a small wave as he left, thanking your moms for letting him stay before he disappeared through the front door. You smiled at the sight. Cove's very first sleepover had come to an end. That was so cute. Stop it. I can't handle it. These two, this fucking pair, This pair is so fucking sweet. I love them. And just like that, we are done with step 1, buddies. We did all fucking 10 moments. Holy shit. Okay. And then summer ended. Yes, I'm ready to move on to the next step. Let's age these bitches up, shall we? I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, as the 5 of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You liked to imagine it was cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we're so dull. Let's get out more. You didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? 'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Put on best puppy dog eyes, 1000%. Because here's the thing, she's gonna cave at the puppy dog eyes. She's a little bit more of a hard ass when it comes, like, she's the tougher of the two of them, but the puppy dog eyes are gonna help us out. Let's fucking go. Oh, don't look at me like that. Like what? Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well, oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory. All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. Ah, so much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe the playground. Or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Don't I get a say in this? Lizzie, you're you're throwing ideas out there and not giving me anything. Hold on, let me have a say. I want to pick. Lizzie looked over at you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to that question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? I don't think that's how weather works, Lizzie. Just saying. That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mother's had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Okay, bye Lizzie, I guess. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. You stayed with Cove. I don't want to follow Lizzie. She's being weird and, not including me anyways, so why would I follow her? Yeah, stay with Cove. Cove's chill. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. He made a little gesture that you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. I feel like Cove would give, a really good fucking toss. You were impressed over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the sea. Look for your own rock. Yeah, I want to throw rocks in the ocean with Cove. I don't know why we're doing it, but sure, yeah. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. Good job. Hi, Ray. Welcome in. I don't feel like asking when he gets it off would be super helpful, because he's probably, waiting, counting down, the goddamn hours to get it off. So instead of having him stress out about that, I'm gonna ask how he... I mean, both of these could be kind of bad questions, but I'm more curious how he got it. How'd you get it? I was jet skiing? Hold on, you are 8 years old, you were jet skiing? Really? Cove narrowed his eyes a little. Yeah, why would I lie? I didn't mean it like that. He then continued to explain. I crashed. He gestured to his arm as if to say, and this was the result. Damn. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski. Well, I'm not. Oh. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. Cool, you're going to like it. Everyone's super nice. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, You realized that his eyes were wet. Oh, you poor sweet baby angel. You have just had such a go of it this fucking summer, haven't you? The world has just been smacking you the fuck down. And you're just a sweet little baby. Little bean. Like, you don't deserve this shit. Oh, Cove. I want to go home. Oh, no. You'd never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden, with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Okay, I'll see you later. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home, the one that was waiting someplace far from here, the one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Yeah, honestly, like, do you hate it here? I feel like this isn't the worst place to be. I feel like we're trying to make you, like, help you adjust, and you're just, I can't tell. So yeah, do you hate it here? Cove's brow furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. You felt a rush of relief fill you. You liked having Cove here. It would be sad if he'd been miserable the whole time. Oh, the sweet baby. I hate when Cove cries. It hurts my fucking heart. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. Of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared a glance over at Cove and saw the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you'd first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do, and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. Hold his hand. Be his little anchor. Make him feel better. You're not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cove's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast, so you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You'd definitely try to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off of yourself. My mom's calling, it's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, Okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own. Blake, thanks. It was nice where you were, right then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. In between. Oh hell yeah, 'cause it's a new step, so I get to change my stuff. Okay. I think all of this is still good. I think all of that's still good. Let's check and see if there's anything else I wanna. I don't think I want the glasses option. Like, I know I sometimes wear glasses in real life, but I'm not vibing them in game. Earrings. Okay, I kind of like the one top one. 'Cause what? They're, I think, 13 in this next step. They're just so fucking cute. I love this goddamn game. Look at my little character. Can I just look the way I do in this, like, for real? I'm not meant to be a real person, I'm just meant to be a little character in a visual novel. Okay. Think we're good. Gonna take a quick sip of water here. Y'all make sure you're staying hydrated. It's important for your brain and body. We still have about 2 hours left in the stream. I might end up ending a little early depending on where we wrap up all nice and neat and tidy because I don't like ending in the middle of a moment, but we'll see what we can fucking do. Let's go. Yep, done. Okay. So here's the question. Feelings for Cove. I think I'm definitely still relaxed. Do we want to move it up to crush though? We want to have a crush on Cove as like little baby teenagers because I'm kind of here to see the interactions from that. Because we can either do crush or we can just stay fond and be buddies. I think it'd be cute having them have like a little crush on each other as teens though, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, fuck it, we're going with crush. We're going with crush. Oh, the little blush on my character's face. Stop it. I'm ready for the little moments. I want it all. I want it all. Give. Begin step 2 at relaxed crush. You won't be able to change it again until step 3. Yeah, we're throwing caution to the fucking wind, buddies. Ooh, okay. So we also have another decision to make. Here we can choose if we want to customize Cove ourselves or if we want his prior experiences to determine it. And I like the fact that we can go appearance, personality, both, or neither. I'm curious to leave it, I think. I think I'm curious to leave it. I don't know. What do y'all think? Because I kind of want to see how he ends up just from, like, everything that's happened in his life. Okay, we are going to let the chips fall where they may. However he is shaped is how he will be. And then hell, if y'all play this game, then you can compare your Cove to my Cove. I feel like part of the game is them being their own person. That's completely valid, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go with neither. We'll leave Cove just as he is, the sweet little guy. Okay. Choose your feelings for Derek. This is how you feel towards Derek for this step. It can be the same or different from how you feel towards Cove. So, here's my one like, not complain, criticism of this game. I think it's kind of unfair that before playing or getting to know him at all, you have to decide how you feel about Derek. I believe the same type of thing happens with Baxter. However, I think I am going to go with relaxed crush again, because I know that Derek does have moments, and I'm pretty sure no matter how, like, whatever you put it as, I think the other character, like, matches your energy. So I think if you have a crush on them, then they have a crush on you, you know what I mean? I think. That's my vague understanding of how shit works. But so, not my little character having a crush on both Cove and Derek. It's fine. It's gonna give us lots of cuteness. Okie dokie. We are ready, Freddies. I feel like Joe might get mad at me for that, considering they're Team Cove so hard, but please keep an open mind to the other guys. I promise they're so sweet. I need another sip of water. Hold on just a second. L. Dry mouth. Okay. August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. When he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass time, as long as it was together. We're cheating low-key, it's fine. It's just a crush. Are you talking about the fact that I know? Because I don't consider that cheating. I think past experience is valid. Plus, they're not together yet. Relax. It's okay, it's just a crush. Not he stuck to you like glue. Sometimes it was like things were exactly the same as when you had first met. But other times, as you got older, you couldn't ignore how the feelings had changed in meaningful ways. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first, you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. We're not cheating on Cove, I promise. That's not how it is. I will say, I'm curious if the creator of this game ever talked about, like, what happened between Cove's parents for the separation, because I also feel like I mean, obviously it can be different in this world, but I know in real life it's fairly uncommon for the father to get full custody, which makes me wonder, like, what situation, like, what the circumstances would have to be for him to get it. I don't know. It's just strange to think about. I'm probably looking too much into it, but I get nosy and curious. Cove cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. but you hoped that you could help him feel better still, since even without the tears, he looked sad. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. Can we also talk about the fact that, I feel like our character is very, the emotional maturity and, thought process is wild in some of these scenarios, and I'm like, damn, I would not have had that thought at 8 years old. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed, and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. Wait, why is that so sad though? Because it's not even wrong. Damn, that, even as an only child, that hit me. Shit. Because it's not. Mathematically, it's not. But those ages are weirdly different. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dads struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed, in small and big ways. You had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Oh. Okay, hold on. Have to examine the room for a second, though. Okay, new bed set up. I approve. I also approve of the room because of how blue it is. See, now we have like blinds or curtains, but that wasn't there before. Got a little computer now. Okay, I see you. I like that picture. That picture's cool. And then probably like some photos and stuff back there. Little radio. Little goggles to go in the water. Okay, I approve. I like this. Also a little seat table depending on what you need it for. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed celebrating your time off by sleeping in 1000%. Yes, we do have ocean things like Cove. I love that. That's so fucking sweet. Cove's our little ocean boy and I love him for it. Yeah, snuggled in bed. Definitely me. Like the first day of summer vacation, I was always like, nah, no one wake me up. Not a morning person. Good night. It was hot, but you still had the blanket up over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Hell yeah, W lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. Oh, who's bothering me? You're still sleeping? Wow, get up. Okay, I see you. I like the little shell necklace. Go away. Straight up no, Elizabeth. Stop this. Let me sleep. By the impatient tapping of her foot, you could tell she hadn't left. Get up now. I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Your special boy's at the door, like he always is now. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, say thanks or whatever. You did not like the way she called him your special boy, but you knew by now that saying so wouldn't stop her. So come down already. I feel like my character would be hyped to see Cove, I'm not gonna lie. Be right there. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms up high and yawning. Time to get ready. You sat yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. Yeah. Not very short, but like pretty short. Not there was a lot of open real estate in the frame. You're pretty short. Yeah, that's fitting for me. I'm also not gonna lie, I think that's so cute because like I'm a fairly short person and apparently Cove's like a pretty tall person, so like our characters are already like set up to be fucking adorable. I don't know, sometimes the height difference is a vibe. You could relate to Derek and how it felt to be smaller than people thought you ought to be. Your shortness seemed to be even more drastic when compared to Cove, who was unusually tall. Let's see. Do I want to be like super realistic, or do I want to be like want my character to be better than I was? Because I didn't like being short, and I didn't like people pointing out that I was short, so I was self-conscious of it. You know what? No, we're gonna do a combination where a lot of it is how I would respond in situations, but I'm gonna give my character more confidence than I had. I think that's a fair like thing to be like, I'm not gonna be realistic in that aspect. Yeah, liked your height. Be confident about it. It suited you well in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to today, so this worked in your favor. It was when you spotted your reflection that you realized you were smiling wide. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Step 2, second chance. Let's fucking go. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face. Good morning, Blake. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? I have a quick question. Does anyone have parents that are actually like this, that are, in good moods? Because I can't tell if that's just, really fictional of the game to have these moms always be, smiling and cheerful for the most part, or if I had just, really cranky parents growing up. Am I the weird one? Am I exposing my trauma right now? I don't fucking know. You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder. Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so at your height you were absolutely tiny in her eyes. You know what? Fine, let her do it. I feel like having good moms like this. Sure. You stood by patiently and indulged your ma's wishes. She gave you 2 small taps on the crown of your head. Not a town with my mom, but I've met a lot more modern moms and they're like this. Okay, I see you. You're the last one down today. You know that? Life isn't a race. Fucking mood. Even though I feel like Elizabeth would turn it into a goddamn race. Funny, I don't think that excuse will work if you're late for anyone other than your own mother, though. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. Aw, the little blushy face! Excuse me as I breathe wrong and get a tickle in my throat real fast. Hold on. There's also a hair in the back of my throat that's fucking me up right now, and I can't make it go away. Yeah, no, stop. He's so fucking cute. I love him. Can I stop dying so I can fucking read? Maybe. Who knows? We're gonna find the fuck out. As I literally fight off another cough. What the fuck? Hold on. One more sip of water. Fix my shit. Look at his little necklace. And he's still got his wavy eyebrows. The hell is he holding? Is that the happy summer gift or whatever? Maybe. Oh yeah, what's the thing that I learned? What fucking button is it? Hold on, I'm gonna save real quick. Because there's a button that you can hit to make the text box go away. Is it? No. What fucking button is it? No. Oh. Nope. That's not what I wanted to hit. Yeah, guess back here. What is the... Hold on, I want to look this shit up. Just one moment, y'all. Cause yeah, I think this would be really cool for some moments. Oh yeah, duh. Duh, that makes so much fucking sense. Yeah, look, so then you can have little moments of just seeing them and just getting like the clear fucking picture. Look at, you can even see fucking birds in the background, like stop. Okay, whatever this is fucking adorable, and I love that he's bringing over a gift for our family. Okay, back to reading. Sorry, y'all, I get so distracted sometimes. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much-talked-about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. But then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made a lot of sense that this was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. That's so sweet, though. At the sight of you, Cove smiled, but there was some nervousness to it. Hey. You smiled back. You couldn't help thinking to when you first met Cove and how you became such good friends. Lately, though, you were starting to have different feelings for him. Hey, it's nice to see you. Yeah, you too. His grip on the base of the gift tightened, and your heartbeat sped up. Even if neither of you had spoken about it, both of you were aware something new was growing in your relationship. It was already shaping up to be another long summer. The best part was that the two of you had plenty of time to spend together and explore what was developing. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. Your hands brushed over his just slightly when you took hold of the base. He flinched enough for you to know with certainty that he noticed it happen. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. And with that, the gift was accepted. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift. I think so, anyway. He smiled earnestly. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. Not that you're too cute sometimes. I feel like he would combust. I feel like Cove would straight up burst into fucking flames. I also don't think my character is that bold. I think they're relaxed, but they're chill. So I'm gonna go with thank you. Could you tell your dad we love the gift? Yeah. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had. Though, after 5 years, you were used to his antics, and you'd since made up your mind on what your opinion was. I already know what Joe would pick. I'm not going with that one, though, because that's fucking weird in my opinion. He was great. I still think we'd still fucking love him, though, and think he's like a good guy. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are. You shared a confused look with Cove. As one, you both stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. You were happy at the sight of him. Derek's a good dude. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin. Hey, guy and pal. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at Blake's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? Not Cove blushing, stop. Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but it's made of fruit. Nice. Can I have some? I mean, it was a gift from my family. Maybe you can have some later. Yeah, I feel like that's the nice one. 'Cause I don't want him to feel bad. Like, I'm not trying to call him out on it. He doesn't fucking know. He just got here. So yeah, maybe you can have some later. I'm sure once everyone's like Gucci, then sharing is caring and all that good stuff. Yeah, maybe you can have some later. Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Awesome. Then he nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him? Nope, I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked. Slowly, you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove, when you first got here anyway. It kinda does, doesn't it? That's weird. He sounded almost fond, a small smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him. I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched up expression, he came off angry. Oh boy. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey guy, over here! Oh, he does look mean. Also, not that bowl cut, though. Oh, no. Hold on, can we get a good look at this kid before we actually talk to him? So, number one, not the most approachable child I've ever seen. Like, growing up, I feel like if I saw someone with this stance, I would walk the other way so fucking fast. Because dude just looks pissed. He looks like he's ready for a fight. That's giving, like, Lizzie 10-year-old brat version. You know what I mean? Like, just, Also, are his eyes meant to be orange or brown? I really can't tell, considering you can have, like, any fucking color eyes in this game. But yeah, he looks pissed. I don't know what's going on with his whole face, so automatically nervous, not gonna lie. I don't like confrontation, so hopefully this is chill. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong, hostile energy still radiated from him. What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it? No, I'm Derek. That's Blake and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What? My parents. They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own? Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bird too, when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time, a chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come see them. Ugh. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? I guess. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Okay, Jesus Christ, why are we so intense right now? Why are we so mad? Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they care so much, and left me home, but I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. Okay, wow, that's a lot. There's so much bad vibes. So much bad vibes right now, for real. For real, who peed in your cereal this morning? I don't understand why we're in such a bad mood. Like, we're just trying to be friendly, we're trying to be nice, we're trying to be approachable, and dude is just, like, squawking in every goddamn direction. And I'm like, can you take a breath? Can you breathe? It's gonna be okay. So I'm not gonna tell him he shouldn't talk about his parents like that. That doesn't feel like my place. You got beef with your parents, that's your business. Calm down, you don't have to yell so much. I feel like that would just make him yell more, I'm not gonna lie. We just said hello, you don't have to keep complaining at us. Kept quiet. I don't want to keep quiet, I want to say something. Maybe, sorry, it must suck being forced to do something you don't want. And try to, I want to try and relate and understand, and then maybe he'll, chill the fuck out if he, because his parents probably don't get it. parents are probably like, like, it'll be fun, get over it, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So, like, maybe if I'm like, hey, it must suck having to do something that you don't want, he'll, like, mellow the fuck out a little bit. Let's give it a go. Hold on, can we just talk about the fact, so, like, he's pissed. Cove looks so fucking sad. Those eyebrows are so stressed out. Derek is like, damn, I was just trying to be nice. Like, not good. Not good. Yeah, sorry. It must suck being forced to do something you don't want. As if that does anything. You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed. Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger, maybe both. Come on. Dude. Absolutely the fuck not. Okay, do I want to go for the personal attack at him? Or do I want to demand the apology for Cove? Because either way, I'm pissed. Like, how dare you? Leave him and his little wavy eyebrows alone. They're adorable. He's not fucking hurting anybody. You got a whack-ass bowl cut, so you can't judge. Like, yeah. Apologize to Cove right now. You can't treat people like that. Cove smiled weakly. Okay, I'm sorry your eyebrows are so terrible. So help me, I'm ready to throw hands. I'm done. I'm fucking done. Demanding an apology is mature for a 13-year-old. I agree, but also look at our moms. Our moms would 1000% raise us to be that fucking mature, though. Okay, I'm sorry for your eyebrows are so terrible. Yeah, I'm ready for a fucking fight right now. Can you leave Cove the fuck alone? He didn't do anything to you. Also, your eyebrows are just like 2 fucking lines. So who are you to judge anybody right now? He's unique. He stands out because he's special. You're just a little tiny jackass. Like, stop it. You know what? Fuck it. I want to fight. I feel like with Cove, because of how close I am with Cove, 1000% I would lunge at a bitch. Y'all, someone tell me if I shouldn't. Why is the pig from Angry Bird being so mean right now? For real. Like, there's no... Y'all, someone tell me not to do it or I'm doing it. Because I'm ready to fight a bitch right now. It's on fucking sight, Jeremy. Leave my guy Cove the fuck alone. I get protective as fuck. Okay, I don't see anyone telling me no, I'm doing it. Lunge at him. I think it... Lunge so bad, no boss, you won't do it. No, because hear me out. I think my character is mature in some ways, and then, like, when it comes to Cove, I think they get really protective, and so they're like, absolutely the fuck not. Emotions run high, it's on fucking sight. Lunged towards Jeremy. Fucking go. With your fist balled, you made a quick step forward. Nah, he was the one who started things and you were ready to end them. Fuck just wanting to scare him. Nah, this little bitch boy really thought, not today, you got the wrong idea and the wrong bitch. Let's fucking go. He'd made it clear that words wouldn't work, leaving you to resort to action. You weren't sure what would happen, but you couldn't let this stand. Ah. Not Derek and Cove stopping me. Derek and Cove jumped in to stop you before you reached him. They each grabbed you by the arm. Still, Jeremy instinctively stumbled backwards. He practically fell over. If that's all you can do about what I'm saying, it's just proving I'm right. You're brainless. I swear to God, let me at him, quite literally, guys. It'll be fine. You were annoyed that the other two were against you on this and got in the way, though the reaction you had been able to get was still worth it. Wow, what is wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice. Wow, what is wrong with you? Wah, wah. Jeremy, I swear to fucking God. Someone needs to just, I'm sorry, listen, I am not one for violence, but when certain characters and individuals are just basically asking to get their ass handed to them, I don't think that's my fault. This is dumb. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and sulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. What a jackass. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. For real! Why was he like that? Jeremy can get wrecked. Like, I'm so over it. No fucking regrets for going at him like that. I wish these two hadn't stopped me, though. Let me be a little bit violent. It's fine. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Ugh. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do. This sucks. I was hoping we could meet someone fun. Hang out, maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point, right at the fruit arrangement you were still holding. You'd completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Wait, did I lunge at Jeremy while I was holding this fucking fruit basket that I forgot I had? Was I gonna attack him with the basket? I have a lot of questions. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. You must want some too. I should save it, but honestly, after that Jeremy bullshit, I kind of want to eat it too. Like, I feel like, because here's the thing. My character got up and then went to the door to get the gift from Cove. And then Derek was outside, so we went outside to see him. And then we walked all the way to the beach and dealt with the Jeremy bullshit. So I have a feeling at this point, I'd probably be pretty fucking hangry and be like, you know what? Yeah, we need food. Yeah, why not? Let's eat. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away. Are you sure? You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruits. Cove grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. I want the strawberry one. Strawberries hit fucking different. The strawberry was bright red and beckoning you. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments. This is amazing. It tastes pretty nice, and this fruit kebab thing is fun. Hey, you two remember The Land Before Time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves that were shaped like stars. Tree stars. Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with all the pretty trees, and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I loved that movie. I absolutely adored that movie. Me too. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. It did help make you feel better. Absolutely. I think a good snack can help improve a mood completely. Derek was right. It was so good you were already brightening up from the earlier drama. Hey, Blake. Yeah? The two of you met eyes casually. Were you seriously gonna hit that guy? Well, he had it coming. Blake, that's so bad. I thought it was cool. What? You're both crazy people. Not Cove liking that we stood up for him, though. Like, dude's into it. Shut up. You knew when Derek said things like that, it wasn't serious. He liked you and Cove. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh. So, are you both ready for summer break? How's someone supposed to be ready for a break? I mean, it just feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Oh no, not Jeremy again, please. Oh no, Elizabeth. Hey, Blake! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. Oh boy. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden bought for us. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? Well, it's gone. What do you mean, gone? You moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hands, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open and the tone of her voice rose. Seriously, Blake? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Cove, who sat beside you, and continued mockingly. Even if you are the most important person in the household to the delivery boy, this was up to his dad. It seemed everybody was in a mood to tease you and Cove today. Within moments, Cove's cheeks flushed red. He picked at the hem of his shirt, suddenly finding it very interesting. He always became nervous when Elizabeth would strike at your relationship. Oh, poor Cove. Cove's just trying to exist. Can everybody leave him the fuck alone? What is this? We were hungry? Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all okay with that kind of response. Oh no, I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around. What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. He ran! Run away! Bye! Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes. They're so immature. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Victory! You threw your arms up in celebration. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. After that, Derek rejoined you in the living room. He'd elected to stay outside for extra time so that you could face the potential scolding from your family without him witnessing the embarrassment. Derek was a guy you could count on. The dust had settled from the prior events, and your moms went back to their room, so Derek was just taking it easy until his dad arrived. Mr. Suarez was meant to be there any minute to get Derek. Derek preferred not to sit, and instead took long, lazy strides in a circle around the edge of the rug. Hands behind his back and head angled towards the ceiling, Derek looked like he might have been puzzling out a crime. He probably made a half-dozen rounds when a solid knock struck your front door. That stopped Derek in his tracks. "Dad's here." The both of you stepped towards the door in unison. You arrived first, since you'd had a half-room head start. When you pulled it open only a crack, someone zoomed in past you. The breakneck flash of a human was still entirely recognizable. It was Derek's littlest brother, Nicholas Suarez. He shouted triumphantly, "Derek, we're here!" He was only 6, the tiniest kid around. Hot on his heels came the middle Suarez son. See, I never know because I know some names that start with a J make the H sound. And I don't want to fuck up his name. Yeah, that's what I thought, so it's Jorge. Okay. Sorry, y'all, I just don't want to be fucking shit up. Nicholas, we have to stay in the car. We're going home. We're not here to play. He was 10 and his patience was being tested. The youngest one frantically shook his head and made his hair even messier than it already was. Nicholas's hair was as wild and free as he was. Hair clips in his parents' minivan couldn't contain the energy. Which might have been surprising considering he loved cars enough to wear a shirt covered in them, but you knew Nicholas loved Derek even more. Staying right where he was inside your house, at his even older brother's side, Nicholas gave Derek a hug. "I came to get you." Derek bent down to scoop Nicholas into his arms in a fond squeeze, though he kept his face tilted up to make eye contact with Jorge. "Hey, bros." Side by side, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez trailed in. The resemblance between the parents and their children was clear. Derek and Jorge were the spitting image of their father. Jorge was even sometimes called Junior, while Nicholas was a mommy's boy. "A good evening, Blake." "Hello. You'll have to forgive the three-ring circus visiting town. The boys just had to come." I love seeing the boys. I love Derek's family. They're cute. While Nicholas continued to cuddle with his favorite person, what you said got enough of his attention for his sweet smile to be sent your way. "You're a sweetheart. But we can't stay. Thank you for letting Derek visit, and tell your mothers I said hello." "Okay. Come on, boys, all 4 of you now. Let's give the Thrasher family their house back." "Coming." "Yes, Mom." Half of the group trotted forward with only a word. They went past Mrs. Suarez and out the door. She watched them go before surveying the situation with the most troublesome one. Nicholas was just bouncing around Derek as if he hadn't even heard his parent. Derek and his mom looked on with identical expressions of exhaustion-tinged affection. With an opportunity opened up between hops, Derek carefully took hold of Nicholas's small hand. Let's go to the car, Nico. You can sit next to me. Thrilled by the promise, Nicholas let out another cheer. Yeah, let's go to the car. Mrs. Suarez left it there, trusting her eldest, and went to join Mr. Suarez and Jorge. Nicholas gripped Derek's black wristband with his free hand, stretching it outwards in his eager attempt to lead his bigger brother along. Derek stumbled forward with a chuckle, mostly to protect his band from being pulled too far, rather than Nicholas actually having the strength to move him. But he made sure not to forget you. Derek said his goodbye from over his shoulder. Bye, pal. Bye. After their prompt entrance and equally quick exit, the whole Suarez family was on their way home. You, however, didn't have anywhere to go. It was late enough that the rest of the day would be spent inside your own house. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they'd moved and were closer to you than ever before. Now you hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna want to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Lizzie, Elizabeth, too. But now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. Being family helped make you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. Even though you weren't a girl, you befriended them pretty well. You also had a lot of non-girlfriends. What kind of gender someone was didn't seem to make any difference in who you got along with. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Who is it? I mean, we're waiting for Lee, so I would guess it's Lee, but if it's not, then that's awkward. Let's just go with hello. Hi, Blake, it's Lee. Aw, she's such a little ray of sunshine. Look at that face. I'm glad it's you. For a second there, I thought it might be one of Elizabeth's friends. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out. Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room. Oh yeah. You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which was why you'd been sat by its cradle, waiting for Lee to call. You thought that made sense. Yeah, wanting the phone to be where the phone ought to be makes sense for, like, the communal space of, hey, everybody shares this, don't go hogging the fucking phone. Yeah, thought that made sense. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs, smiling. After you arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. All right, I'm here. Cool. Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they'd change their mind. We could call each other every single day, and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? Really great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. Not her big blue eyes. Stop. She's so cute. I love her. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to college. School was such a big part of your life right now. Um, I would say never tried too much, but still didn't do that bad. Yeah, that feels pretty fitting for when I was in school. Coasting by had become routine for you. Teachers had warned you that you wouldn't be able to do that forever, but you figured it was enough for now. Um, mm, I think for me, I think I felt a lot of pressure to get higher grades, but more from myself than anything, because I hold myself to such a weird fucking standard. But if we're talking about actually giving this character, this version of me, some confidence, an alternate reality where Blake actually has self-confidence, wow, what a concept. We're gonna go with, you were confident, your grades would remain great. You could definitely turn things around from here on. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled. You sound so spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it 'cause it's summer? That's what I'm doing. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. Yes. Yeah, everybody in class would sign it. Maybe some of the teachers too. Though, I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Learning new things can be cool, 1000%. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught the things, not just some people. Me too. Mm, Cafeteria lunches at my school could be better than they had any right to be. I personally liked my school lunches. I think a lot of schools in the US get the reputation of being bad, but my high school and middle schools had like good lunches. Like I didn't mind buying school lunch. Lucky, mine's boring. It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. Yeah, I'd say at this age I was still fairly social. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. But that was all. I didn't care about gym class. I was not built for gym. Or sports as a whole. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken. Now I decree the topic of school is officially closed. That's fair. We have to talk about this summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Oh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. I've got some new art supplies, 1000%. I love doing art. I love making art. I can't wait to try them out. I can't wait to see what you make. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her, and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day, you sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like, at your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? He was mean. Very, very mean boy. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Hey, who are you to talk? You give practically all of your attention to boys. Or maybe just one boy. I see how much you like Cove. I don't give him all my attention. Lee laughed at your denial, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched on her face. Okay, so, knocking could have been a thing. You could have knocked on the door before you opened it. You didn't have to just storm the fuck in. Some level of boundaries and privacy is okay. Especially between, teenage siblings. Let's relax. How long are you going to hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Okay, that's not really... Here's the thing. I feel like there's really no winning with Elizabeth. Fine. Gotta go. I'll see you soon, okay? Okay, see you. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Okay, you're welcome, I guess. Your ma's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the wake. That was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside, and you laid in bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and an open sky. You were definitely confused, 'cause why noises at my window, though? What had caused that noise? Frowning, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You might as well find the reason behind the disturbance. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody could didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against a section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with the effort to keep himself upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside. Not him climbing up to our window. Wait, that's so fucking cute. That's so fucking cute. Hi, Blake. What are you doing? Not the what's up, Romeo. That's so fucking cute. I can't handle it. This sure is a surprise, but you're always welcome here. Yeah, that one. Thanks. I know that it's late, but I didn't know what else to do. If I rang the doorbell, I know your moms would have answered and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean, but that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. I would have done it too, honestly. Not to be like nosy, but just like a little listen. Just a little baby listen. Not too bad. Cove smirked at the agreement. Yeah, I don't do it a lot, but I heard them talking about me. That is fair. I think when you hear them talking about you, it's okay to be like, what are we discussing right now? 'Cause, like, curious. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove went off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard when you found out he was leaving, and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another thing to actually meet them. Very soon you were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features painted with dread. Before they barely stayed in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again. The three of us after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out, and now I feel really bad for feeling this way. Blake, it's so... His fists tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. That is hard to deal with. For real, Cove, your feelings are valid. Being sad doesn't make you a little kid. It's not just little kids who are allowed to feel sad or stressed. Like, be so for real. The tense line of Cove's shoulders eased. Thanks. That makes me feel a little better. Like I'm not freaking out for no reason. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. He marveled at how the day started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? Blake? The sound of your name said quietly pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. You meant it. You knew some things were still good. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. Moonlight from outside cast shadows across his face and lit up his eyes. They seemed to sparkle with a smile. Just that one look brightened your mood somewhat. You know, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed at his arms. But I kinda don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? Of course you can always stay here, Cove. That one so much. You held his gaze confidently, hoping your words got across to him. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. It felt totally natural to let him into your little world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over these past years, and you were certain there was room to get even closer. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. Definitely hugged him. Give him big ol' hugs, all the time, Cove hugs. You moved closer and wrapped your short arms around him as much as you could. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped even a little. Cove froze up, startled. After a moment, his arms came up and he returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. Also, not the little blush, stop. When you pulled back, his expression had softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your peachy skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright, gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still there in the morning. Cove. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. With your shout, Cove's eyes snapped open and his head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. You clamped a hand over your mouth and looked down at him with wide eyes, curled up where he had landed rather ungracefully. Ow. You've helped him up. Here. Cove complied by putting his hand in yours, and you helped him back into a sitting position. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm alright. If either of your moms found out Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind. Oh my god, I fell asleep. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step, and you wanted to ask what he had been searching for, but you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's going to be alright. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, we would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all of this had played out, but hoped that was true. Right, bye, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks, again. You're my very best friend, Blake. No one else comes close. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. It made you feel tingly. But you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. Wish him good luck. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keeping watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. Cove always seemed to have a way of seeming so smooth without even meaning to. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window. Deciding there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. I would just leave, honestly. I never really cared about slippers. I didn't care to look at myself in the mirror or make my bed. Yeah, just left. It was too early to do anything else. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting. Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips pursed together even tighter. Blake? You shrugged it off. What do you mean? I'm not being weird. I'm being chill. I'm not. You spoke so nonchalantly, you almost thought she believed you. But you knew better. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately, she rolled her eyes and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. Take a little bit of everything, absolutely. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he had left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in the eternal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hi, Blake. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school, not from the country club your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you'd gotten a good look at her. She seemed nice, because she does. She seems chill. Her attitude was friendly, and it seemed like she was genuinely happy to meet you. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. I'm Kyra Priest. You can call me Kyra. Sure, I'll shake her hand, I guess. That's a lot of bracelets, girl. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Blake, but you already know that. That I do. Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Blake. Cove talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. Nice to meet you too. She smiled at you fondly, her eyes crinkling at the corners. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father. There you are. I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kyra beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you should come with us, Blake. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course we'll run it by your parents first, responsibility and all that. It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the street for the time being. Any whoosies, let's go. Kyra walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her. I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us, not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela. I see you've met my kid Blake, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kyra laughed and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kyra Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eyes as Ma popped out behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kara. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands. Hi, Blake, Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Aw, I understand. You're welcome to stop by anytime. I'll take you up on that offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Blake went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice. I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. Be there for Cove. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him. Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye as the three of you backed up onto the street. There was a sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here. Yeah, there's a lot of them around. The answer was straightforward and the tone was curt. Cove was usually more light-hearted than that. Kyra put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kyra pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Blake? Want to point me in the right direction? Sure, I have a couple favorites, I guess. We can at least narrow it the fuck down a bit. You'd been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical-themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Come on, Cove. You insisted Cove contribute to the decision. I think he has, like, an opinion. It's okay, Cove. Tell us what you want more. He mumbled sulkily, willing to reject his mom, but not you. I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for, too. With 2 votes in favor of one restaurant, it seemed it was settled. We can go there. Thank you, Blake. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the 3 of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kyra lowered herself into a chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Ahem. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda. Noted. Blake? I want soda too. Which flavor? Gotta go root beer. Root beer is just such a fucking classic. Sure. Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals, too, were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all this was perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he'd brush off, Kyra had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you. So, Blake, what's a few things that you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. That's a lot of things. Not that I'm really into Cove. Stop. That's too direct. He will burst into flames. Let's see. I spend time on art, drawing. I filled out a lot of sketchbooks. Painting. I enjoy painting from time to time too, but I can't say I'm any good at it. And games are fun. I like to play board games. That's great. We should all play a game together sometime. Video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. Card games. I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. She's so supportive and sweet. I love her. Yeah, I'd say mostly games and art. I feel like that's, yeah. And I like to hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. That's enough. I don't need any more stuff. That's good enough for me. Thanks. I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. So what exactly did Cove say about me? What are you doing? You can't just ask a question like that. Kyra laughed, holding a hand in front of her mouth. I can't tell you that. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son too much. Kids are delicate at this age. She laughed again, and you glanced at Cove to see his reaction. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. Okay. Not appropriate to ask why they got a divorce, although I'm really curious what the response would be. And not appropriate to ask if she's in a new relationship. How about, where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. And what do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? You can bring yourself to ask another question. Yeah, that's enough. We don't want to get all, too personal. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. Smile at him. Give him a little smile. Cove eventually noticed you watching him. It took a couple of moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside. You two seem really cute together. Aw, Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat. Mom, why would you say that? Not the things we argue. I fucking can't with some of these. I definitely think I would also be like, awkward. Felt bothered too. Not bothered, but that's not something you had to say. Yeah. We're gonna go with you felt bothered too. What did she mean by that? Had she seen you watching Cove earlier, or had she noticed the way he smiled at you a little before? The statement made everything uncomfortable. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious, even Cove enjoyed his food. Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you Can you explain, please, why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to not miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same and nobody said anything. I see. Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both you and Cove to crack a smile. You almost had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards. I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop. I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad, too? No. Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today. I understand. We can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Blake. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And with that, and that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually, you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family, and Blake too. Cliff. Dad. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back, far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Blake. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience, for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. Damn, okay, that middle bit took like a fat minute. Can we just talk about the fact that, like, I'm hyped because look at all these moments. Oh, yeah, Derek's DLC. Thank you for purchasing Derek's DLC. Here you can play 5 new moments centered around Derek. He also has a special epilogue in Step 4. To unlock it, you'll need to fulfill these conditions. Play all of 5 of the Derek DLC moments. Complete Soiree with Cove or by going alone is alright, as long as you finish the moment. Choose to remain in touch with Derek during Step 3. Then you will have the option to play Derek's epilogue during Step 4. You can only have 1 epilogue per playthrough. You can make a save on the epilogue selection page to reload there and pick another later. Derek's DLC can be a friendship or a romance story. Cute. Okay, we have so much more than I remembered. Damn. I'm fucking hyped. So what we'll probably do is we'll probably go through this row, then do Derek's, and then Summer Ended, because I do want to play all of the moments. I absolutely adore this game. I am, however, going to call it here. We don't have time to get through a whole moment right now, so when we play theoretically tomorrow's going to be a little wonky with my schedule. I am going to try and be on at my usual time, but if I'm not, just keep an eye out. I do want to do something. And then I might do a makeup Twitch stream on Saturday, so just keep your peepers peeled. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to save us right here. Beautiful, wonderful, 10 out of fucking 10. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good rest of your night, and as always, take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves. It's hard being a person, you're doing the best you can, I am proud of you. And don't forget to live a life that pisses off a bigot. Bye, y'all.